What's up, guys? JKdiscgolf here, and today I have a video that is probably a little bit overdue, especially since I've been making those building my bag series, and it's been a couple weeks since I've actually made the good old official 2019 in the bag. But the reason I'm actually making this now is because I want to make sure all the discs in my bag were actually going to stay in the bag, and they're going to be actually part of the bag. Along with that, I wanted to go, I just had my first tournament, so these are the discs that I used in my first tournament, so that's another reason. So kind of after that, I felt like this is going to be my established bag. And then lastly, people have just been asking, so we're going to make the video. So usually I make these videos way too long, or I have to redo them and make them shorter, so we're going to do this short and simple. If you guys want me to go more in depth on specific discs, why I throw specific discs, I can make separate videos for that. All you got to do is drop a like or drop a comment on each specific disc, and I will make that for you guys. But we're going to do, what everybody does, and we're going to start with putters. So, we have, here we go. We have 5 putters. We'll start with my putting putters, which for this season, and from the end of last season, I've been putting with D-Line P2s. These ones have been worn, because they've been used for about a season and a half almost. So I really want to get brand new ones, because not necessarily that they're being too broken to throw or to putt with, is because on the edges there's nicks and gnashes and stuff, and it's just kind of hard to find that perfect flat rim that I can rest my finger on, because I'm kind of nitpicky when it comes to that. I want it to be super smooth. I don't want to have any little scratch or anything on it. But that's kind of just a fault of my own, just because that's just something that helps me get a little bit more confidence. Then we're going to go to my main throwing putter, which is the XT Bullfrog. I use this for off the tee putter shots or short approach shots. I really like the XT plastic. It's very stiff but still grippy, and it's super shallow. That's what I like about this, is it helps me fit my hand in it very nicely. I don't like deep discs, especially for putters. It just makes me feel that I hold on to them too long, so I ride them out to the right way too much. So I like the Bullfrog because it fits it very nice in my hand and just feels good for all types of shots. I can throw this on a little bit of a hyzer. It'll flip up, maybe give me a little bit turn to the right, but it's always going to finish pretty dang straight. Now, in the wind or short sidearm shots, I have an AVR X3. This thing battles the wind perfect. If it's kind of a headwind, I need a short approach disc, I can throw this thing flat, and I can consistently have a nice hyzer into the basket every time. Also, if I need a really short hyzer sidearm shot, I'm going with the AVR X3 all day. At first, I thought this felt really comfortable, and then I kind of switched my sidearm grip, and the more I throw, the more I don't think it's the most comfortable, but it's something that I can do, and I know what the disc is gonna work with, so I kind of just can trust this. Even if it doesn't feel absolutely fantastic, I can trust the AVR X3 every time I throw it. Now I have a DX Rhino. The reason I have this disc is for, like the AVR X3, I use that for more shots that consistently ride the hyzer of a sidearm, while the Rhino is kind of a touch sidearm shot, so if I need an anhyzer or a slow little flex, just something like that where I can kind of shape shots with, I'm going to go with the Rhino. This disc feels better in the hand for sidearms, and I can, again, trust it a lot. Now we're going to go on to my mid-ranges. I carry, along with 5 again. Again, we're going to go from least stable to most stable. Starting out with my my most understable is my Star Mako 3. This thing has been in my bag, or I've had this disc for about 5 or 4 years. It's the first disc I actually ever bought. What I use this for is turnovers. Short turnover shots, because I can put this thing on hyzer, it'll flip up flat and give me a nice ride to the right. Basically, and it doesn't matter how light I throw it, doesn't matter how much hyzer I give it, it's going to go flat and go to the right. So I'm really throwing this for turnover shots. It used to be my straight disc, but now it actually, instead of going straight, it's just going to keep going to the right. Then, we have two different rocks. This is my more understable rock. It's just hit a little bit, few more trees, has a little bit more gashes and scratches in it. So I use this one for more of hyzer flips and kind of to finish more straight than my other rock, which I kind of throw flatter and it has a nice fade to the left at the end. But they're my go-to mid-ranges right now. I've gotten really comfortable to the feel. I used to say before that I didn't like the feel, but now it's kind of something that I really rely on and I can trust is going to go exactly where I want them to. Those are on DX Plastic also, just traditional DX. This next mid-range is for a windy day. If I really need to put some torque on the disc, is a Rock 3. So, like I said, if there's a headwind or kind of any sort of wind that my DX Plastic kind of flips and does whatever it wants to, I can go pull out this Rock 3 and really kind of yank on it and really throw it hard and know that it's going to go pretty straight and with a consistent fade at the end. I only bust this thing out when it is windy or I really need to throw a disc hard because I really can just rely on those rocks so much for all those different types of shots. This next mid-range kind of fills that spot of an overstable mid-range. A lot of people go Gator. I instead opt for the Star Cayman. So this kind of fills the hyzer shot. Either I can throw it flat and it'll immediately start hyzering, or I go with the big hyzer routes where I can just kind of trust this thing to just hyzer out and kind of like give me a little spike hyzer. And I use this thing for approach sidearms or a little bit longer than, I can throw the AVR X3 and something that I need to kind of just sit instead of skip like other faster discs. So that's really what I'm using the Star Cayman for. I would say majority of the time is just for either flex or just baby sidearms. Now going on to my fairway drivers. I'm not the biggest fairway driver kind of person, so I only have 3 of them. 2 of them are C-Line FDs. This is my more understable one. It is signed by Simon Lizotte, so I have that little bit of a Simon luck in my bag. But I only use this for kind of flip up, hyzer flip shots that just go straight, maybe a little bit turn to the right if I really give it a good throw. But I'm really this is my main straight disc. And then I have a Luster FD that I can kind of it's a little bit more stable, so I can kind of flip it up and it'll fade to the right, or if I throw flat, it'll basically go straight the whole way with a little bit of fade at the end. So these discs are my straight discs. Then I have my T-Bird 3, which I kind of throw super hard straight and it will ride straight, but then kind of 3/4 way will start giving me a nice hyzer, or I can give it a tiny bit of hyzer, flip it up, get it to go straight, and still have some fade at the end. This disc really doesn't flip over any on me, so I can pretty much guarantee this disc is going straight with fade towards the end. Those are all my fairway drivers. Now we're going to go to the good stuff, the distance drivers. Starting off speed 9 discs, we'll go least stable, again, is my Roadrunner. The only thing I use this for is long turnover shots, because this thing, again, kind of like my Mako, if I throw in any hyzer, it's going to flip and turn to the right. Also, occasionally I will throw a roller with this because it is so understable. Next, I have my Thunderbird, which I will throw flat, and this was my distance driver for about 300 to 325. This is the disc I pump out when I don't want to go long in the basket, or I really just want to hone in on that 325 range, and it's going to go pretty dead straight, maybe a little bit drift to the right, but it's coming back to the left pretty hard at the end. Has a pretty good fade. If I really want, I can throw this thing on skip lines too. I kind of have a little fun with those sometimes, but mainly it's just for that straight to fade to the left. Then my most overstable probably disc in the bag is a flat top Firebird. This is a new addition. This is, again, flat top. I used to carry one that wasn't flat top, but this thing is so overstable, it does exactly what I want. What I really throw this thing for is kind of shorter but hyzer sidearms, or kind of finesse sidearms I need to like flex and do crazy things. And then that headwind drive that I needed to go straight with fade to the left, and big spike hyzers. I love throwing that with the Firebird just because I know how overstable it is. But the thing is, this thing is dang board flat, and it just feels so much more comfortable in my hand for sidearms, and I just love this thing. It's become a real staple in the bag. Now we're going to go to what is generally my main distance driver, and that is the DDX. I have this super kind of beat-in one that I use for flip up to straight, to turn to the right a good amount, ultimately giving me that nice S-curve back. This thing I can throw about 350 on like not the best throws, and then all the way up to 400 if I really give it some. But the only problem with this one is either in the wind, or if I throw too hard and don't give the right angle, it will flip and it'll just keep on going. It will not come back. So that's why I carry this new S-Line DDX. This one I can throw flat, it'll give me a nice turn to the right, but will come back. The good thing about this is in the wind, I can actually kind of trust it to come back. It won't come back like a lot, but it'll still give me a nice fade back. Again, this thing I'm throwing about 375 to 400 feet. Next, we're gonna we have 3 destroyers, actually. We have, I love destroyers, but you know, they're not my technically max distance driver. I carry 3 that are actually in the bag. We have my least stable one is this destroyer. This is a Paul Macbeth run, but it's kind of really super flat and not overstable at all. I can basically throw this thing on this much hyzer and know it's flipping. So the only shot I throw with this destroyer is hyzer flip sidearms. Since my sidearm isn't as fast as my backhand, I can kind of just give this thing a good amount of angle. It'll flip up, turn to the left, but always fade back to the left, or to the right. That's how I really like this disc for that sidearm shot. Again, if I really need it, I can give a little stupid roller with it. That's always fun too. Then we're going to go to my Ricky destroyer. This thing I've used as my max distance driver in like a headwind or ending towards a wind that my DDX might just flip. So I can always trust this thing to get a nice turn to the right, but it'll fade back to the left always, and basically no matter wind. I can give this thing a tiny bit of hyzer, it'll get it to flip up straight, ride for a super long time, and eventually come back to the left. So I throw this thing about 375 to 400 on a good day, but I really can trust it in the headwinds. Then I have this super domey destroyer that's new in the bag. The reason I throw this is for flex sidearms, max distance flex sidearms, because I know that I can give it a good amount of like angle, and it's going to come a lot to the left, but fade back to the right always. I really like the pop top to it because it feels comfortable in the hand, and it makes me feel reassured that it is overstable. Now I have these two destroyers that are on the top of my bag. Really what I have these in the bag for are either backups if I want to throw a different sidearm shot. This Paul Macbeth destroyer is starting to get beat in, so I really want to start beating in a lot more. So I have a replacement of a more understable destroyer. But this thing was a meat hook, and now it's kind of more turn a little bit to the right but fade back. This one is brand new, but it is super flat, so I know it's not going to be as overstable, so I can, out the box, get the tiniest bit of turn out of it. But this one will probably end up replacing my hyzer flip sidearm disc. Then I have the Shrike. Basically, I only throw this for wide open flex shots or long turnover shots. It's still like an experiment disc, but I needed it for the last tournament for a long turnover shot, and I can trust it. The reason I can trust this over the DDX is because I can throw this thing on hyzer, and it slowly pans to the right, as my DDX will kind of flip and kind of like die down, giving me an almost cut roller. But the Shrike will slowly flip, giving me that nice ride, nice turnover that I would rather have. Lastly, I just have a utility Firebird in the top. This is just for overhands or thumbers, crazy shots like that. But that is my 2019 in the bag for at least the beginning of the season. If any changes happen, I'll probably make one halfway through the summer. But that's what I'm throwing, guys. Make sure to drop a like because I finally made it in the bag. Make sure to hit a subscribe down below and turn that bell on so you get notifications on all the new videos, guys. But that's all I got today, guys. Make sure to keep throwing.